Hi, my name's Ros Davis and I run a company called Edinburgh Film Focus, which is a film commission. We're the film commission for Edinburgh, the Lothians and Scottish borders. And basically that means we market this area as a filming location.
So what training have you done in the past? What education?
I did do a film and media course. I was at Stirling. I did film and media studies with psychology, which was like doing an English literature course. It was very interesting, but at that stage, not very practical. So I left university going, I really want to work in film and television, but I'm really not sure what to do next. I don't think, I've been doing this job, it's a long time now. So when I left university, I think there was a very traditional way into film and television, which tended to be that you'd done an English degree or a history degree. Was just the beginning of people doing film courses and trying to do more practical sort of training. So I left sort of thinking, God, now how do I make that step? What do I do now? So I went in a very sort of traditional route for women at that stage, which was I made sure I had a secretarial qualification and I went in as production secretary. At that stage, anybody who's sort of kind of bright and fitted in, I worked freelance with really good people, and luckily they kept giving me jobs. So actually I did a lot of my training on the job. I learned the next stages up, which were doing production coordination, production management. Obviously when you're doing production management you need to have done some kind of accounts training and budgeting. So learning to use moving magic packages, things like that. You kind of do them and you learn from the people you're working with, and I think their experience is crucial to sort of understanding. On paper, I remember going to the library to get books, thinking, God, how do I be a good production secretary? Who do I ask? And I would phone people up and say, you don't know me, but I'm just about to start out. And how do I do it? And you could hear that kind of, oh God, another one, here we go. So I did try and look at books and things like that, but actually, it's common sense a lot of what you're doing in that level. So I just asked people, and I think a very important thing is never to pretend you know how to do something when you don't. And just.
So what was your dream job at that point, being on the university, or?
Oh, I think I had very airy-fairy ideas. I didn't really know what was involved in. I just knew I wanted to work in television.
So you just went with the flow.
Yeah, I did, and I think lots of people ask us in this office. Part of our role is working with the crew and trying to know who is based in this area so we can help them get jobs on production. And lots of people say to me, how did you get in? And actually I always say, do you know anybody who's already working in the industry? Because it's the easiest way in.
So what was your first job at that entry level? The very first one?
I worked on a documentary about an artist called Tom something. And I got that job because I was at university with Mark Cousins, who had begun to do documentaries for Channel 4. Channel 4 was just starting out, and we'd been friends and worked together at university. And when the production company needed another pair of hands, he said, oh, call Ros. So, and I think that's quite true for a lot of people. You can apply and you can send in CVs and you can do all those things, but it's a good deal of luck, and if you know somebody else already, it's very helpful.
So what qualifications did you have at that first job?
By that stage I had a degree, which a lot of people, on sort of formal job descriptions they say educated to degree level, and a secretarial qualification, but I had done no sort of practical film training, if that's what you're interested in.
How did your career progress to being a production manager?
I think you just have to start. You watch and you learn from. I think when you start as production secretary, you're there to just keep your eyes open and do the job you've got to do, but learn what everybody else is doing. And I identified fairly soon that was the level I would like to reach in documentaries because the skill set was things I enjoyed doing. Sort of the dealing with people, the budgeting, the scheduling. So I just made sure that whenever I was working with production managers, I was aware of what they were doing and checking what they were doing. And just as people were sort of, I would just let people know that I had those skills. And I think a lot of us were moving up together. If you've got friends who well, I'll start that again actually. we were really lucky when we started out because there were amazing people in the industry who were looking for new talent, and they thought it was part of their job to bring on that new talent. So a woman called Anita Oxberg took me under her wing. She's now big in films in Sweden, but she made sure that we were moving up and that she challenged us. So she said, oh, you can do that on the next one. Yeah.
So you don't think that industry is too full of people, like eager people who wants to do that job? It's harder to do it right now.
Well, is it harder? Yes, I think it's harder because well, it's always been a competitive industry. And I think when I was beginning, I was working freelance, but a lot of people went into the BBC, they ran training courses, they brought on crew, which they don't do so much of anymore.